The first thing one sees when you come to the front gate of the museum is the SR-71 Blackbird. An impressive sight, that's for sure. After you park your car and maybe check out the SR-71, you head for the main building, which houses the gift shop and the museum cafe. From the porch of the main building, one can see the beginning of the vast acreage that houses the aircraft. The big plane that fills your view is the B-24. The group gathered at the museum cafe for lunch. During lunch, we discussed our project's updates for our helicopters. We also talked about our times in the military and various topics of aircraft. After lunch, we decided to go through the indoor museum first. The indoor museum, besides displaying a B-52 cockpit that will blow your mind, displayed lots of artifacts from our past wars and police actions. The B-52 cockpit, an impressive sight indeed. Although I personally know nothing about the B-52 bomber, other than it has been around for a very, very long time and carries a doomsday payload, Ruffin, on the other hand, was fascinating to listen to, for he had worked on this aircraft during his time in the military. We spent about an hour inside the indoor museum. As we walked by each display, Ruffin, Ray, Jugo would tell the group a little history of that displayed event. These were both personal experiences and things they have read and watched in movies and TV. Touring the indoor museum, we headed for the outdoors. The outdoor museum is where all the aircraft are displayed. From the air, the museum layout resembles a stealth bomber. I'm sure this was done on purpose. Anyway, the first thing one sees is the path going every which way, although it is laid out nicely in a maze of big, and bigger aircraft. Definitely a sight to behold. Here's a camera's view of the main path when entering the outside museum. And here's a camera shot as one makes the first bend of the main path. The first big plane one sees as they enter the museum is the B-17, Flying Fortress, Boeing's most famous bomber. The B-17 flew mostly out of England, equipping 26 of the 40 bombardment groups of the 8th Air Force. This B-17 on display last flew as a bar rate bomber at Tular. The B-52 Stratofortress was for a time the largest, heaviest aircraft ever flown. It came into its own during the Vietnam War. It was equipped with ground mapping radar and able to carry 84 internal and 24 external 500 to 700 pound bombs as it created havoc in North Vietnam. Displayed here is a missile under the wing of a bomber. The B-47 formed the backbone of the Strategic Air Command in the mid-1950s. It was the world's first swept-wing bomber and the first to use a bicycle arrangement for the landing gear, necessitated by the thin wings. The B-45 was the first jet bomber to be put into production. It was designed to replace the World War II B-25s and B-26s. It served only 10 years, from 1948 to 1958. The F-101 Voodoo was developed as a long-range fighter to escort B-36 bombers to and from the target. After entering service in 1957, the aircraft set a number of speed and point-to-point records. It became known as the One-O-Wonder. The Avro Falcon. The first time I saw this plane was in an air show at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, where I was impressed of the size of this aircraft. Anyway, during post-World War II modernization, Britain wanted an aircraft with speed, altitude, and bomber-carrying ability equal to anything in existence. The Falcon went into operation in 1952 and flew with the RAF until 1980s, when it was replaced by a European-built Tornado. Val-T, RB-36H Peacemaker. The largest bomber ever built, at least at the time, the B-36 served as America's airborne nuclear deterrent in the 1950s. Armed with 16 20mm remotely controlled cannon nose, tail, and retractable fuselage turrets, it could carry 72,000 pounds of conventional and/or nuclear weapons. Well, that's it, folks. The whole tour lasted a good couple of hours. From here, we are off to Ray's home in Patterson, California. Ray's property transformed you back into the Old West, so check out part 2 of this outing.